Welcome to the Webb Report. My name is Stuart Webb. Tonight we're going to talk about the fertility rates in the United States. So new data just came out from the CDC that we've hit a new record low in 2025 for fertility rates in the United States. This is really sad, and we as a society need to recognize that this is bad. This is not good. It's not good long term, but in the short term and in the present, this is bad for everyone. And the reason is because we're talking about the eternal destiny of the children of God. The reason why we are here is to have families. That it is part of God's plan for us to have families, and it's part of us having joy, the most joy. And so let's just play this clip. We're going to play a few clips, and then we're going to chat about this.
Undeniable trend. Fewer Americans are having babies. Just over 3.6 million were born in the U.S. last year. Sounds like a lot, but that's down 23% from back in 2007.
It's everything from less unintended teen pregnancies, that's a good thing, to women possibly having more kids later in life, to a whole other sort of social factors such as anxiety about the world and the cost to have children. All of it put together is likely why there are declining fertility rates, not only in the United States, but worldwide.
Women are waiting longer to have babies. Birth rates are rising among women in their 30s and 40s, but experts say not fast enough to replace births from younger women.
There's many reasons people are delaying childbirth. Part of it is people are getting married later. People are more career driven. It's also less affordable now to not work.
But fewer children born overall means a declining population, raising concern about the labor force and wider economy.
I'll be known as...
Okay, so obviously they kind of go over the reasons for why this is happening. There's a lot, but I just want to address one of the concerns is that people have anxiety and they're worried about having a family. They're worried about starting a family and providing for their children. I totally get it. I have 4 kids, so I worry about that every day, right? I would say that you're going to have anxiety about not having kids, or you're going to have regrets about not having kids. And I understand that there's situations that people can't have kids. Totally understand. But the ideal, again, we're talking about the ideal and the whole purpose of why we're here on this planet, is to have families. Okay, that is a central part of God's plan. It's part of our eternal destiny. And so, in general, our society, we need to make a clear. We need to divert from this trend, right? We need to strive for having families and encourage having families. And yes, that takes faith. And we also need to return, first of all, we need to return to following Christ, adhering to the gospel of Jesus Christ. And God will help you with those anxieties and those fears when you're thinking about starting a family and getting married and all those things. But this is a really bad news, and we need to recognize that it's bad, and we need to make the conscious choice to increase the amount of children we have. Yes, it means sacrifice. Yes, that means taking more risks, and it is scary, but the reward and the joy is worth it. And I'm speaking as a father that, man, when I got married and started having kids, I had no idea what I was doing. Very scary, but God helped me through it, and He helps me every day through it. So I would say cling to Jesus Christ, okay? And first faith in the Lord Jesus Christ, okay? And that's how you're going to do it. So let's reverse these trends the best that we can. I mean, this is 2025, so this is the data that's just come out, and it's April 2026. So we know that this past year, we've we've hit a new low in fertility rates. And there's this other clip. So I want to go to this other clip where they talk about the actual rate, which is like 1.5. So we've declined. The last like couple years, it dropped to under 2 for replacement rate. For every 2 people, we were replacing those 2 people, and now we're like at 1.5. So let's just play this, and we'll also talk about some of these things.
The country and the world, rather, was not going to be able to handle the population at some point. Well, now we're hearing that the fertility rate in the United States has hit an all-time low. Even though it's only 1% down from 2024, it's the lowest level in our country's history, and it's continuing a years-long slide. And there are reasons for this, and there's some consequences of this.
Well, I was just thinking that very thing that you said, because I remember also hearing about the population explosion, and of course, I have a gigantic family, but. Do you remember this would have been the 1970s? Zero population was very popular, and there was a musical called Saturday's Warrior, right, where they were countercultural because they had a family of like 6 kids or something like that. So look. It's an interesting discussion because it's happening around the world, and we have Lois Collins with us from the Deseret News to talk about the decrease in the U.S. fertility rate, but just kind of the overall view. How long has it been dropping?
Probably, they figure about 20 years. It's had little bubbles and bumps,
Sure.
But 20 years.
So what does that look like long term?
So the replacement fertility rate is 2.1 kids per woman.
So you got to have 2.1. So we've got to, like, on average, society around the globe, in order to just replace our own current population, we've got to be having just above 2 kids each, right, for each woman. But we're at 1.5. That is bad. That is really bad. And it's not just that it's going to hurt us for all these different reasons economically and long term for society, because families are the fundamental unit of society, the building block of society, but it's going to affect like the joy and the happiness of the children of God on earth currently. Okay? So anyway, the movie The Children of Men, or Children of Men with Clive Owen, great movie. It's 20 years old, actually. It's kind of interesting. It's 2026. I think it came out, I want to say 2006. And great movie, but it's this society where no new children have been born for like years. And then people see this child that they're trying to, this guy's trying to help this woman who's pregnant get to this colony or something. I forgot exactly. I need to rewatch it, and like there's war and chaos and like the calamities of the world are clearly upon them. And there's no new children, there's no kids running around, no babies, and then it's just amazing that like at the end of the movie this woman gives birth and people stop. Like they're fighting, it's chaos, and then they stop because this baby's crying, and everyone is astonished. They're like, oh my goodness, this is the most beautiful thing I've ever seen. So yeah, we need to, again, I know there's certain people that can't have kids, or for whatever reason not able to have kids, or not able to get married or whatnot. I get all that, but again, we need, as a society, we need to promote and support and participate in creating families and replenishing the earth as God has told us to do. But it doesn't matter if you're religious or not. It's self-evident. This is self-evident. And that's what's the beauty of natural law, is that God, all things denote that there is a God. Like, just look around us. Like, us just being alive, me just being able to express my opinion. Like, the fact that I even have my own opinions. I'm my own agent, my own spirit. Like, that is just evidence of God. So there's just these things are self-evident. So having a family, everyone has an inherent desire to have a family, whether they admit it or not. Okay, and to have posterity, and to be in a family, even if maybe people there's people that desire to have kids maybe less. Their desire is less strong than others. Okay, but I don't know of any people that literally don't want to even be around people, right? So everyone, we're social beings. Being around people is what gives life fulfillment and joy. So naturally, having families is it's an essential part of the purpose of our lives. Okay, it brings us joy and fulfillment. So, so yes. Anyway, recommend that movie, Children of Men. Great movie. And so let's continue on this video.
Basically. And we're down right now. In 2021, we were down to 1.66. The projection is that this year we're going to be at 1.56. That's significantly below replacement rates. So you get the economy starts to shrink. There are all sorts of long-term impacts of that are not necessarily good for the country, even down to whether or not when you're ready to cash out and retire, you'll be able to sell your house. You have to have people coming up behind you. And so it's going to impact entrepreneurship. It's going to impact the economy. And nobody seems to know what to do about it. The countries have tried all sorts of things, all sorts of incentives, and nothing really has made a huge difference.
I'm actually going to end it there. Well, what we need to do about it is we all need to make a conscious choice to prioritize having families. And so that does mean sacrifice. And that means that we need to expect and hold accountable our governments to make sure that they respect our natural rights, and we need to make the conscious choice to not have both parents go to work, right? We have to, and that needs to happen on a mass scale, or else nothing really is going to change, right? It's kind of like if people, if you don't believe in paying direct taxes, which I agree that those are totally a violation of our natural rights, paying proper taxes on your property doesn't even make sense. But if you disagree with direct taxes, you can just not pay the government, but then they'll just put you in jail. Unless like hundreds of millions of people just say, no, we're not going to do this anymore, then like the government can't do anything, right? So if this and so the reason I bring that up is because the same thing needs to happen when it comes to having kids. People need to decide on a mass scale whether they're going to prioritize having families. I know it's difficult right now, okay? Like me and my wife actually both have to work because but we also are having more kids. Like we're continuing to have more kids, right? And we're trying to get to the point where my wife doesn't really have to work, right? So that's the ideal. We're working towards that. But it's not even just about the women not working. They can have all types of interests and hobbies and find fulfillment there. But it's just ultimately, in order to have children, women have to carry and birth the child and nurture them. Like if they're not willing to do that on a mass scale, we just won't have children then. Like it's just, this is self-evident stuff, right? And so back to the point about we need to do it on a mass scale. Well, our economy requires two incomes now, and that's because you can't make it on one income, because the labor market, when you get, so let's say 50 people, there's 50 people in the labor market in your local area, right? But let's say that doubles overnight or within a year. Well, of course, the market price for your labor is going to go down because there's so much more labor available. But if if on a mass scale women say, no, I'm staying home, like I'm just going to quit my job, or I'm just going to work way less and I'm going to stay home with the kids, if they do that on a mass scale, then obviously wages and the market price for labor is going to go up because there's less labor available, right? And women, or then men, will be able to actually have the opportunity to provide for their family because they'll be making more money, because the businesses will have to pay more because they need the labor. And then also there's more opportunity for the men to even work more, in general. So anyway, that's a whole nother part of this that needs to be discussed as well. But I just wanted to cover that. Let's reverse this trend. Have more kids, okay? Take the risk. Have faith in God that the Lord will provide. He'll make up the difference. Be faithful. Work hard. I know it. Believe me, I worry every day how I'm going to take care of my family, but it's worth it. Okay, it's worth it, and it's sacred, and it is part of God's children's eternal destiny, like it says in the proclamation to the family. So that's what I've got to say on that for now. Thanks.